Looksmaxxing. This has to be made illegal. Like, looksmaxxing is actually so bad. The only time it's good is when I do it. Okay, back to the video. When looksmaxxing goes too far.
Looksmaxxing. We've all heard of it. It has genuinely taken over the internet the past 2 or 3 years, and on social media, it's everywhere. But if for some reason you've been living under a rock, or you just woke up from a coma and decided to watch my
W Aura, thank you.
Looksmaxxing is essentially the process of maximizing one's physical attractiveness. Now, ironically, this is what the owner of the world's largest looksmaxxing website looks like. Yeah.
What do you mean, looksmaxxing website?
Make it make sense. I'm just as confused as you guys are, but there he is. He's an absolute chud. Over time, looksmaxxing has been met with extreme controversy because, well, when you combine insecurity, taking advice from random people on the internet...
Yeah, well, people hit the head with, like, hammers in order to get the optimal looksmax. I'm gonna go back to the angel.
And a willingness to do whatever it takes to change the way you look, well, things can go really, really wrong. And that's exactly what we're going to be getting into today. People who took looksmaxxing to the absolute...
Bro, these are not real.
Extreme and paid the price for it. Now, before we get into it, guys, I do want to clarify there is nothing wrong with trying to look good. Going to the gym, a proper skincare routine, getting haircuts often, all of these are examples of self-care that can in turn make one look better. The problem isn't this. The problem is when looking...
Yeah, but the problem is like hitting your face with hammers like 10 times a day. Like 3 times a meal. To looksmax. Like, it doesn't even make sense.
Looksmaxxing goes from self-care to self-harm. And with the way it's promoted on TikTok and a lot of these...
People say it works and that's why it's popular. I don't think it does work. I think the reason it's popular is because it doesn't work. So people are still trying to do it. Like 2 years later.
Forums about looksmaxxing, it's mostly about self-harm. Let's start by talking about this guy. As you can see, he made some mistakes. Apparently, he was some...
Wait, he did that after trying to looksmax?
User in a looksmaxxing Discord, and he went by the username Skolo. And he went viral on TikTok a while back when this video was posted about him that said, POV, you were an insecure teenager that wanted to expand...
Okay, this picture looks way better, though.
...his palate by 24 millimeters and ended up deformed. Basically, guys, he used something called a palate expander. It's a device used by orthodontists, and it's actually become very popular.
Yeah, I have one of those.
Within the looksmaxxing community.
Okay, not for looksmaxing, though. For, like, braces.
Because when it's used correctly, it can make smiles look more natural and overall enhance the facial structure. But in this case, that clearly did not happen. According to the TikTok post, Skolo ignored the advice he was given by his orthodontist. He then continued to use this expander
Okay, so, yeah. Chat. The orthodontist knows more about this than you do. Like, he's a doctor. Doctors are looksmaxing professionals.
The recommended amount because he thought it would make him look better, and unfortunately this was the result. It's honestly really sad what the looksmaxing communities did to this guy because he clearly went blind to how drastically he was changing the shape of his face. Now, luckily, since all of this happened, there is an updated picture of him that surfaced.
Okay, that looks better then.
While he doesn't look nearly as bad as he did in the original picture after the initial palate expansion, his mouth still is unusually wide, and that seems like damage that can't really be fixed. Next up, we're gonna be
you can make something. You can't really unwiden something.
Talking about Clavvicular. Now, you've probably heard of this guy once or twice, but if you haven't, this guy is essentially like the father of the looksmaxing community, at least right now. It seems like many people are crediting him.
I think I have seen this guy. He does it, but he's not even he's not all the way looksmaxed. He's like...
the one who made looksmaxing as mainstream as it is, because back in the day in like 2010 2011 it was this very niche like community online of, you know, less than 100 people probably. Now it seems like everyone knows about it. Anyways, this guy Clavvicular, who also goes by Clav, he is extreme. Like, the stuff he is doing to his body may very well kill him by 30 years old. I'm not even kidding. It's that bad. Let's get into it by starting with the fact that this guy has been injecting testosterone into his body since he was 14 years old. This is something that 50-year-olds do after their body slows down, and they're doing it supervised by a doctor. But no,
this should not be legal.
Clavvicular ordered this off some internet black market, no doctor supervision, and started injecting it into his body at 14. Are you kidding? Apparently he had to hide it from his parents, and then they found out once and they kicked him out, and he had to live with his grandma where he just kept doing it. Then when he went to college, he was expelled 3 weeks in because they found illegal testosterone in his dorm.
So how is he not in jail? I feel like you should be in jail by now.
Room. But surprisingly, the testosterone is really just the tip of the iceberg with this guy. It gets a lot worse. Clavvicular has also openly talked about using a certain substance that I can't even talk about here on YouTube to suppress his appetite, give him energy, and also stay as lean as possible.
Okay, chat. This isn't even looksmaxing. This is just like evil.
I can't mention it is because it's one of the worst, most dangerous drugs you can think of. For the sake of the video, we'll call it math, like mathematics. One of the most addictive and destructive drugs on the planet being used as a diet tool. Nice. And then there's the bone smashing. Let's talk about that. If you haven't heard of this, it's exactly what it sounds like. You take
people just are like, how is this like? You just take a hammer and like hammer yourself. Like, that doesn't work.
Hammer or your fist or a microphone.
That's gonna damage your face. It's hitting yourself with a hammer is not good for you, chat.
Touch anything that's hard, and you repeatedly hit yourself in the face. I'm not going to do it because I don't want permanent damage. The whole idea is that you're creating a bunch of microfractures on your face, and once you create those microfractures, your bones are going to grow stronger and more full and bigger. You're going to have a sharper jawline. All that fun stuff the Looksmaxxers talk about.
But the Vizsla, chat, the Vizsla has like, he's like reverse Looksmaxxing. I feel like Vizsla doesn't really have, he doesn't have like straight bones or anything, but he just does the Viz face. Anyone can do the Viz face.
Full and bigger. You're gonna have a sharper jawline. All that fun stuff the Looksmaxxers talk about. But the thing is, there is no proof whatsoever that backs this up. But sadly, Clavvicular has been able to convince a bunch of young people that bone smashing will work. And if you scroll on the Looksmaxxing side of TikTok,
chat, do not do a single thing mentioned in this video.
You will see that bone smashing is very common. There's a lot of young kids and teenagers doing this. It's really sad. Dude, I even recently came across a video of some like 5-year-old doing some sort of like cheek suction technique for Looksmaxxing. He's 5 years old.
Okay, that's a little funny. And that's not gonna hurt you.
So bad. What are we doing? This kid's supposed to be building trains, playing with Hot Wheels. Oh my god, bro. I can't believe this. I
did this as a kid though, like sucked in your cheeks. Not for Looksmaxxing, I just did it. That's not gonna hurt him.
Can't believe this. Now anyways, back to Clav. Everything this guy's doing right now is most likely gonna ruin him. There's already a bunch of memes about him like decomposing. On the outside, yeah, he looks fine
He looks dirty.
But the reality is that his body is absolutely going to pay the price for this very soon, probably. We're talking potential liver damage, increased risk of heart attack, stroke, and that's just from the testosterone, by the way. You throw meth use in the mix there, who knows what's going to happen. So as you can see,
you'll die. You'll just die.
The internet has some pretty wild rabbit holes, and most of them you probably want to stay out of. But if there's one that's actually worth going down, it is undoubtedly cybersecurity. That's because right now there is a massive shortage of people with these skills, and the ones who do have them are making serious money as ethical hackers. Those are basically the good guys who get paid a ton of money to find vulnerabilities before criminals can exploit them. Like Apple, for example.
Okay, I'm gonna skip this. Chat, if you really care about cybersecurity, John Castelline is the creator of this video. You can go watch him.
Just as this guy. His name is Frank Tfano, and he was obsessed with Looksmaxxing to the point where he was never satisfied. At first, he was just a regular,
people like get addicted to Looksmaxxing, like
YouTuber who would post about carnivore diets and more unusual health tricks and tips and whatnot, if that makes sense. But unfortunately, he was also very insecure in the way he looked, despite the fact that the dude's a good-looking guy, no homo. It all started when he wanted to have a better jawline, so he decided to get something called a double jaw surgery. Now, this is a fairly difficult procedure. It's really expensive. It takes a very long time to recover, and he didn't ever look like he needed something like this. But
yeah,
anyway,
he looks fine.
He made it through the surgery fine for the most part, and his jaw looked better, but the problem is, he wasn't satisfied. He didn't like the way his eyes looked. He said they bulged out of his face too much, and so he got a certain eye surgery. It's called an orbital decompression.
Whoa.
It's a very invasive surgery where the doctors go behind
Why do these surgeries exist?
your eye and remove the bone. Unfortunately for him, this surgery ended up going terribly wrong. Not only did it ruin his...
He looked completely fine. I did not notice that.
to the point where he was seeing double, but it also gave him chronic headaches. Since then, he's made a bunch of TikTok and YouTube videos about his experience with the doctor that performed this surgery, and he even sued the doctor. A lot of people say
yeah. I feel like, yeah, he was doing bad things to himself, but like that's on the doctor, not on him.
Suing him was a terrible idea because the doctor has way more money than this guy, and this guy doesn't really have nearly as much money. It also seems like suing him caused almost all of his accounts to get banned on TikTok and Instagram. And since the eye surgery that went wrong, he's apparently
Well, this is sad. This is sad.
12 reconstructive surgeries to try and reverse the damage that's been done. The latest one was a couple months ago, and it was all the way in Japan, so I can imagine this is probably so expensive. It really sucks too, because nobody would ever see this guy and think that something is wrong with his face or that he needs any sort of surgery to begin with. And in his case, after years and hundreds of thousands of dollars in surgery costs, he actually looks and feels worse. Next up,
chat, Bro, I don't even want to watch the rest of this video. I might end stream now. Chat, if you want to watch the rest of the video, it was made by John Castelline. Go show him some support. Like his video.